When you press it, it will stop. So shall we begin? Somebody else is coming? Manjari is coming? No.
Yeah, she said she will come. Do you have your mobile with you?
Yeah.
It's come last. It's coming.
So on to market. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य तन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु विघ्नस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र सर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, chapter number 3, 4th Canto, chapter number 3, beginning from verse number 16. And this is a description of dialogue between Lord Shiva and Sati, his wife. Sati's father was performing a great sacrifice, and many saintly people, devas, upadevas, they were rushing to the place through their planes, which were seen by Sati and heard the talk about it. So she was very much interested to go there and participate because it was happening in her own father's house. But Shiva was not invited and therefore was not inclined to go there. So she was trying to persuade him to go there. And she gave various types of logic. And the ultimate thing was that we should go there even if we are not invited, because you can go to the place of Father without invitation. So after hearing this, Shiva, he laughed, he smiled, because this whole thing reminded him of the past incident which had happened long time ago, in which Lord Shiva was insulted by Daksha. Actually, he was cursed in front of the whole assembly. So now he remembers this and he says that your words have reminded me of these sharp arrows which are stuck in my heart. So speaking sharp words can be very dangerous. Manu says that Satyam Bruyat Priyam Bruyat Ma Bruyat Satyam Apriyam Ma Nritam Priyam Bruyat Esha Dharma Sanat. Says that you speak the truth, Satyam Bruyat. Speak pleasant truth, Priyam Bruyat. Ma Bruyat Satyam Apriyam. Don't speak the unpleasant truth. And also don't speak the pleasant lies. See, this is the Sanatana Dharma. Because nobody likes to hear the unpleasant words, unkind words. They are very disturbing to the heart. So even if you have to speak the truth, you coat it in a little bit of sugar, like the bitter pill coated in sugar, so you can swallow it at least. Of course, it is not always possible. Sometimes you have to speak the bitter truth. And in fact, it is said that that wholesome truth which is bitter, both are rare, one who speaks and one who can hear it. It's a rare combination. That somebody will speak it and the other person will also take it. So Lord Shiva, he heard, although it was not truth, but it was very bitter. So he took the bitter pill without any coating. And he has not forgotten this taste. So he still remembers this. So therefore he was laughing that, how is that you have forgotten this? Of course Sati was not present, but certainly she knew about this whole incident. You know that whole Mahabharata, one of the reasons it happened was because of the sharp words of Draupadi to Duryodhana. When Yudhishthira was made the king, he was made the king in Indraprastha, and he did this big Rajasuya sacrifice, in which Duryodhana was also invited. And this was a very wonderful occasion, same type of festival was going on. So when this is a festival time, everybody is in the festive mood, enjoying mood, and at that time if you insult somebody, then it is very troublesome. So they had made one assembly house, this Maya demon had made for them, because he was saved by Arjuna in this forest fire when Agni was having indigestion. And this was very wonderful, where the wall looked like a door and the floor looked like a water. So Duryodhana was walking and he thought it is water, so he lifted his cloth and then broke the side, and she remarked that blind son of a blind father. So Duryodhana was already burnt in his heart, because he saw this nice place, nice festival, nice, all the kings were coming and giving so many gifts. So that is the time he decided that he will take revenge. And that's why he wanted to strip Draupadi in the assembly, just to take that revenge. But now I will show you that how blind I am. I will make you naked, but because I am blind, so I will not see anyway. So words can be dangerous. Therefore we have to be very careful when we speak, what we say and to whom we speak. So he remembered this, and therefore he says Kuvag Ishun. So Vach means the word, the speech, and Kuvach means sharp or bad, and Ishu is the arrow. So these are the arrows which go into the heart. So now he is saying, Sri Bhagavanu Vacha, Lord Shiva, he said, Tvayoditam sobhanamev shobhane anahutapyabhiyanti bandhushu te yadyanutpadita dosa drishtayo baliyasanatma madena manyuna. So she had given argument that we can go to father's house and also to the father-in-law's house, because Daksha was father-in-law for Shiva, even if we are not invited, because you don't go to relatives all the time because you are invited, you also visit them. Otherwise, what is the meaning of having a relative or friend? So he says, you are right, that indeed it is proper to visit even if you are not invited. We go to the house of relatives uninvited. But there is a condition. It says, Te yadi anutpadita dosa drishtaya. You visit your relatives if they are not having a dosa drishti in you, means they are not looking at you in a critical eye. They are not jealous of you. They are not envious. Then you can go. Otherwise, baliyasa anatme madena manyuna. And why this dos drishti is there? Why there is jealousy? He says, when there is very strong anger, manyu, because of anatme madena, because of pride. And pride comes when one identifies with something which is anatmya, other than the atma, means some material possession. So anatma madena means pride of some material power, material position, material wealth. Usually this makes a person proud, and proud person can get angry easily and insult others. So this is what has happened, because Daksha was Prajapati, he was very powerful, and he insulted Shiva. And now he knows that he will be even more proud, because he has been promoted. After he cursed Shiva, Brahma promoted him. so that he can fall down quickly. So if you want to make someone fall down, then keep on praising that guy. Many times it used to happen with the kings, because kings like flattery. So they used to keep these flatterers around, and if somebody is critical, they remove him. But this will also become the source of their fall down, because then they become indifferent to the people, to their kingdom, and may be attacked by another king. So that's why it is not considered a good etiquette to hear one's own praise. Just as it is not good to criticize others, it is also not good to praise oneself or to hear one's own praise. Especially in Vedic culture, it is not considered proper to praise oneself. Although this is a norm now, that you go somewhere, especially the politicians, they are always praising themselves. That's how they gain votes. That you praise yourself and criticize the opponents. This is the gist of their speech. So this is just the opposite. What is good for spiritual life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Anamani namani demi." That do not desire to be praised or respected, but always respect others. So that is a sign of spiritual advancement. So he said that Baliyasa anatme madena manyuna, that he is very proud now. Mada is madness. And why is that? Because of anatme. So we have material ego, and material ego becomes fortified by the material possessions. Because these material possessions are related to the ego, if you know the Sankhya philosophy, now you can relate. Because there is ego, and it has three divisions of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And from ego in Tamas comes all the material elements, which make all the material world. So more you have, then more it gives power to the ego. And more one has ego, more one wants to have it. Control, power, position. So that's why he says anatme madena. Then this mada, this pride, this madness of pride comes because of anatma. If we know ourselves as different from the body, if we know that we are not this body, we are separate, then there is nothing to be proud of. Cannot be proud. Proud of what? You don't have it. It's not yours, it will be taken away. We are only assuming that it belongs to me. Even now it does not belong to me. Sometimes it happens that somebody is sitting and he has an heart attack, he is finished. Or suddenly somebody gets paralyzed. There is nothing you can do. You get a stroke, brain stroke. Everything over. You cannot even move. You become dependent on others like a baby. But we become so proud of this body. And so many things we try to achieve with this thinking that this is mine. So therefore he says that this is very powerful, very strong, baliyasa. When identifying with this body, then this illusion is very strong and not easy to get rid of it. And reason for this, of course, is the ignorance of our true nature. We are ignorant, we don't know who I am really. Therefore I remain. So he says that keep distance from such people, because they will find fault in you, especially if you are a spiritualist. You are not going to match with them. Their thinking and your thinking is not going to match. They will talk about body and bodily relations, bodily pleasures, and you are going to talk of something different. So you cannot get along with them. So why to go in such a company and feel troubled by them, or feel in an uncomfortable situation, be in an uncomfortable situation. So this is the meaning of his statement. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Anatmyam dehado ahankara tatkritena madena manyuna chete bandhavo yadi anutpadita dosa drishtayor bhavanti. So he says that dehado ahankara, to have, there's nothing wrong with having the body, we all have it, but to become proud of it and then disrespect others. I am very beautiful, I am very powerful, I am more intelligent. So when this is the cause of trouble. So he says, Tatkritena, then this pride gives the anger. And then you find fault in others. So he says you can visit relatives even if they have not invited you, if they are not like this. But that is not the case with Daksha. Therefore, indirectly he is saying that there is no need to go there. Then he says, Vidya tapo vitta vapurvaya kulaihi satam gunai sadbhira sattametareihi smritau hatayam vritamana dadrishu stabdhana pashyanti dham bhuyasam. He said that there are 6 things which have different influence on holy people and unholy people or wicked people. And that is Vidya, Tapo, Vitta, Vapur, Vaya, Kula. Education, austerity, wealth, body, youth and family. So these are the things which make one proud. One can be proud of education. Tapa, this is not so much practical these days. Tapa means austerities. Previously in India, people were also proud that they could do great austerities. The story of Jajli Muni. He was performing austerity for a very long time. So much long time. We read that story that he was standing and birds came. They laid egg on his matted hair. So he did not move till the eggs hatched because he didn't want to disturb. I thought if I move then the bird will come and think that, because bird thought this is a tree. He was standing in one place and the bird came and gave eggs. So when he realized he didn't want to move, otherwise the bird will get confused. What happened to this tree? Somebody cut it or it walked away. So he stood in that same place till the birds grew and they had wings and then they flew away. But then he became very proud that, look, I am so great. I can control my mind so much. So one day he was sitting under a tree and there was one bird and that bird dropped the dropping. So of course bird did not do it knowingly. They are not aware of it. So he looked at and he saw the bird, and when he looked at the bird fell down dead. Because of his looking, he had so much energy in his eyes and he was upset. So then he thought, well, now I am perfect. So he went, as was the norm in the olden days, to go and beg Madhukari, taking bhiksha, alms. So he went to a nearby village and he went to her house and bhiksham dehi, please give me alms. So the lady inside was busy taking care of her husband. So she did not respond immediately. But this guy, of course, now was proud. He's asking for alms, but he's proud also. Usually if you ask for alms, you be humble. So she delayed, and when she delayed, he said it again, but in a raised voice. So he said, I'm waiting here, didn't you listen? So the lady from inside replied, he said, I know that you are waiting, but I am not the bird that you look at me and I will drop dead. So this guy was completely surprised. He says, how did she know? Is there a hidden camera somewhere? That she is watching me. So now obviously his pride came down. So this is something very strange. So the lady came out with the alms and gave to him and said that, please, before I take the alms, I just want to ask you that how did you know that this bird was killed by me? So she said that I have this power. I can understand. So I said, how is that you have power, even I don't have this power? So he says, because you are so proud, you think you are doing austerity and you are better than householders. I do service to my husband, and just by doing service to my husband, I have this power. Because I am pativrata, I am a chaste woman. So he was completely floored down, he fell on the ground. So this was what it meant, that this austerity could also make one proud. And there are many stories, story of Durvasa and he was getting angry. Because proud people get angry very easily. Then the next one is vitta or wealth. If you have money in your pocket, that also makes you proud. So the story of Kubera's two sons. Now they are so proud because they are son of a rich man. A rich man may not be so proud as his sons, because rich man works hard to make the money and sons are born with it. They spend and they are spoiled. Then Vapu, physical strength. Somebody is physically very powerful, then also you become proud. And youth, and then if one is born in a good family. So don't you know, I come in this family, I am this gotra. So he says that these 6 things, they are satam gunai shadbhir asattamettaraihi. That these are the qualities in the saintly people. That if they have knowledge, if they have power, then they use it for proper reason. There is one verse like that. Vidya vivadaya dhanam madaya shakti paresham paripidanaya kalasya sadho vipritametad jnanaya danaya cha rakshanaya. Knowledge is for argument, vidya vivadaya. Dhanam madaya, wealth gives pride, and Shakti, if you have power, trouble others. So this is the quality of wicked people. But the same things, if they are found in saintly people, then if they have knowledge, they give it to others. If they have wealth, they do charity. If they have power, they protect others. So the problem is not in the object, but who has it. The problem is not in the gun. God also has a gun and a terrorist also has a gun. But they use it differently. So that's why he said that Satam Gunaihi Sadavira Sattamittarai. Smritau hatayam vritamana dadrishu. So stabdhana pashyanti dham bhusam. It says that those who are proud people, then they cannot see the influence of others because they become blind. Vritamana dadrishu. Their pride makes them blind. So there are different types of blindness. Blindness is not only physical blindness, but even power can make one blind. Greed also can make one blind. One can also be blinded by material desires. So, diva pashyati no luka, kakam naktam na pashyati, apurva kopi kamandho diva naktam na pashyati. But owl cannot see in daytime and a crow cannot see at night. But there is somebody who is blinded by lust. He cannot see in day and night. He is blind all the time. So that's what he is saying here, that stabdhana pashyanti dham bhusam. So those who are overly proud, they cannot see that others also have some qualities, they also have good character. And if somebody is humble, instead of taking that as a good quality, they see it as a weakness. So just because Shiva, he was very quiet and peaceful, he did not react, and Daksha even became more proud. He thought, look, he got scared of me. This is what he would have talked after Lord Shiva left. That you saw this guy? What a pushover. There was in one restaurant, one guy was sitting and drinking his coffee. Then one of these mobile gang people who drive this Harley Davidson. So he walked in with his black jacket and dark glasses and big body, and he came and sat to this truck driver who was drinking his coffee. So he told him to move, so he did not move. Then he was smoking, he put a cigarette into his coffee. So this truck driver didn't say anything. So finally the truck driver, he left and he drove away. So then this mobile guy was telling at the counter, did you see what a pushover this guy was? And he didn't say anything. And this guy, he was looking through the window. He said, yeah, not only pushover, he looks like a blind because I saw him just driving over a mobile. So proud people, they don't see. And some people keep quiet. So the other people think that this guy is just a sissy. He has no power, but they work quietly. So he smashed his mobile. So Lord Shiva, he was also sitting quietly and of course not saying anything. But it's not that he was not understanding. So he says that Smritau hatayam. Smritau hatayam means that they lose the power to discriminate. And they don't have any proper discrimination. So this is what happens when one is proud and egoistic. Then the buddhi, the intellect, whose function is to discriminate what is good and what is bad, what is proper and what is improper, then it becomes subdued. It doesn't function. So you see it in all the, whether it is the story of Hiranyakashipu or story of Ravana or Kamsa. These people, they were not able to discriminate because they were so proud of their power that no one is like us. And ultimately they met their end. They were finished. So Sri Vishnu Chakravarti says that Nanu viduso mat pitur mudhanam iva dosa drishti katham sambhavet tatra astam vidyadaya eva anartheta vaitya. So if Parvati, this Sati says that my father is not an ordinary person, why are you saying like this, that he is going to find fault in you? He is a vidusha, he is a learned person. So he is not stupid, he is not foolish, he is not ignorant. So how is it possible that he will look critically towards you? So then he says that tatra astam vidyade eva nartheti. He says that yes, he is not ignorant, and that is the problem. The problem is that this education itself is causing him the pride. Usually we will think that foolish people are proud and intelligent people or educated people are humble, because vidya dadati vinayam. One sign of proper education is that one becomes humble. So Lord Shiva says, no, this his education itself is the cause. And it is nothing wrong with education. It is wrong that who has it. When I started studying Sanskrit, many people used to tell me, don't study Sanskrit, you will become proud. I still remember this. Say, if you learn Sanskrit, you will become proud. As if Sanskrit has the injection of pride in it. It's a tonic for pride. If somebody is lacking pride, learn Sanskrit. So it is not the education, but who has it. What is the person's character? It's like water falls on a neem tree and it falls on a mango tree. It also falls on a banana plant. So water is, what is that? Colorless and practically tasteless, although it is supposed to have madhur taste. But every tree nourishes its fruits and flowers according to what is the DNA in it. Right? It's not the fault of the water. Water is nourishing whatever is there in it. So education is like that. If you want to misuse it, then it is not the fault of the education. Of course, then it becomes a tool in your hand to destroy others. So that's what he said, that this is the cause of anartha. Vidyadibhireva षड्भिर गुणैः स्मृतौ विवैष्णयां हतायां सत्यां भृतास्तैरेव पुष्टा अहं विद्वान् तापस इत्यादि मानो गर्वस्तेन दुर्दर्शो अंधा भूयसां महत्तमानां धाम तेजन पश्यन्ति. He says that these 6 attributes, which are actually good qualities, attributes, beginning with education, austerity and so on, they become the cause of pride when a person does not have discrimination. So if a person lacks proper discrimination, then it becomes dangerous. Just as if you have a gun in your hand and you don't know where to shoot and whom to shoot, you don't have any discrimination like this. So you fire left and right, and it becomes dangerous. And you even become proud because you see all these people running away, scared of you, then you think, wow, I'm so great, everybody is scared of me. So that's what happens. So then this nourishes, he says, pushta. And these things, they nourish the pride. When one thinks, I am educated, I am a great tapasvi, I am the most wealthy, I am most powerful. And then they cannot see the good character of other saintly people, only people who actually have proper qualities. Nanu tair gunai katham smriti bhansas tatraha satam gunair asattamanam tu itarair dosai. So he says, how is it possible that these qualities can make them forget. So he says this is because they are asat to begin with, because they are wicked, their nature is like this. That it becomes an attribute for one type and a curse for the others. So dugdham amritam api sarpamukhe pravishtam vishameva bhavet. So he said just like if you take milk, then cow's milk is considered as nectar. It is very nourishing and there is nothing like cow's milk. There is no food like it. But if you feed a snake with milk, then there is a belief in India that it turns into poison. It only increases the poison of the snake. Of course, in the West you may not know that snakes drink milk, but in India the snakes also drink milk. Actually, they can even go and drink it from the cow. The cow is sitting and they can suck the milk.
Without making a puncture? It's not with the fangs, but with the mouth?
Fangs are not all the time out. Fang is only when they attack somebody.
Okay.
Fang is not their teeth.
The cow dies also, and sometimes they do that.
For example, the cow moves,
They can also move.
they can bite.
Yeah, they can bite also. So the snake charmers in India, they also feed milk to the snakes. I've seen they take a pipe tube, put it inside and pour milk. So sthaneva guna gunayante iti bhava. So the meaning is that attributes are attributes in their proper place. Otherwise, they are not attributes. So he continues. नैतादृशानां स्वजन्व्यपेक्षया गृहान् प्रतीयादनवस्थितात्मनां ये अभ्यागतान् वक्रधियामभिचक्षते आरोपितभ्रूभिरमर्षणाक्षिभिः. So he said that one should not go to the house of such people thinking that they are relatives or we are their relatives. Because they only look like relatives. Etadrishanam swajanam vyapekshaya grihan pratiyat. One should not go there. Why is that? Because of avasthit atmanam. Because their mind is not balanced. They can change anytime. Because of their pride. And yabhyagatan vakradhiya vichakshate. Those who look at the guests with their convoluted mind, aropita bhrubhir amarshanakshibi, and with their bent eyebrows and red eyes out of anger, which he is remembering because this is what Daksha was. If you remember, when it was described that Daksha was cursing him, then he was that he was looking him with the bent eyebrows and his eyes were red out of anger. So he is using the same thing. He says that one should not visit such people. So just as Sati gave arguments to go there, Lord Shiva is giving now arguments not to go there. And his arguments are stronger because she did not have any strong argument except that she wants to meet the relatives. So Sri Vishnu Chakravarti says, Jata idrishaha pitradeyopi upekshaya. He says, therefore, even if one has a father like this, as described in the previous verse, who has all these qualities which increase only the pride, then he should be just left alone, be indifferent, pay obeisances from far, or you can make a telephone call. No, don't go there. Swajana iti yavishishta apeksha taya na gachet. So don't think that he or such people are your relatives, because they are not. Why is that? Yadi gachet tada varam satru buddhya eva gachet. So he says that don't go there thinking they are their relatives. He says the meaning is that if you go with the feeling that they are enemies. He's really taking extreme meaning. Because if you say don't go there thinking they are relatives, it could mean that don't go. Or another meaning could be that yeah, you go but don't think that they are relatives. Then what they are? Your enemies. So go with this idea, and he is right. Because their enemies means then they are going to insult you. They are going to put you in trouble. Nanu duratmano api swapatya jamatrādishu snihanti eva. So then Sati says that even if they are wicked by nature, people have affection for their daughter and son-in-law. If someone is wicked, he is not wicked towards everybody. Even thieves, dacoits, criminals, they have affection for their wife and children. So he says, I am the daughter, you are the son-in-law. So why you think that my father will behave in an inappropriate manner? So then he says that anavasthita atmana. So because of uncontrolled mind. If a person has to behave properly or improperly, person should have his mind under control. If the mind is not under control, what can you predict? Person he can lose his temper, then he's not. Once you lose temper, you forget who is person standing in front of you. And parents hit their own children, or children hit their parents out of anger. So, anavasthita atmanam nayamapi tesham nishchayati bhava. So he says that this is not certain that they will remain in this mood that I am the father and she is the daughter. It can change, and mind is always changing, it is very flickering. So instead of seeing you as daughter and me as son-in-law, he can start seeing me as an enemy. Then what will you do? Then it will be too late. Ye aropita hi bhubhis tatha amarshanakshihi krodh netrai abhichakshante pashyanti. So he says one should not go to the house of people who look at you with the arched eyebrows and red eyes. So means that this is what he was doing to me. This is what Daksha did to Shiva. He was angry for nothing, for a very short thing that he did not stand up. When he came in, he got so angry. So Lord Shiva has not forgotten. So although he was sitting, he was observing everything. He heard the words, he saw the face of Daksha, but he kept calm. Otherwise, if he would have opened his third eye, there will be desolation. So he controlled himself and left, but he remembers. And he seems to have a very good memory. तथारिभिर्न व्यतते शिलीमुखैः सेतेर्दिताङ्गो हृदयेन दूयता स्वानां यथा वक्रधियां दुरुक्तिभिर्दिवानिशं तप्यति मर्मताडितः. He says that if enemy shoots arrows at me, हरिभिर श्रीमुखै न तथा व्यथते श्वेते अर्दितांगो हृदयेन दूयता स्वनाम यथा तथाम यथा. You remember yatha tatha? Today's class? So it is coming. So he says that one is not pained as much as if one is shot with the arrows, as when one is shot with the sharp words which hit the heart. Because Shete Arditango Hridayana Duyata. If you are shot with the arrows, you have a wound, you can sleep at night. But if you are shot with the sharp words, you cannot sleep at night. You remember those words. And he said like this, and I felt like punching her nose. And tomorrow I will do this. And even if you sleep, then you will see this in the dream. And sometimes you wake up at night, and then if you remember these words, then you cannot fall asleep after that. So he says that Tathari virne vathate sili mukhai shete arditango hirdena duyata. That even if you have cut somewhere, arrow has hit you, somebody has put a knife, still you can sleep even if there is a pain. But not the other way. Swanam yatha vakradhyam duruktabhi. If there are harsh words spoken by your own people, then you cannot sleep. Divanisham tapyati marmatadita. Say that you are troubled day and night. Like this. As if someone is always poking you. These words, they keep on coming in your mind. So mind has this wonderful quality that it does not let you forget your enemies. You forget so many other things, but if somebody has said some harsh word to you, then you cannot forget that. And many times people say that, I just cannot forget this. I cannot get over this. So people say, just forgive and forget. And I say, no, I cannot get over it. It's too much. Because mind will keep on, you are sitting and you are eating your lunch or your dinner or you are driving, and suddenly that will come. And then starts a dialogue or a monologue. You have an inner log. Your blog is going inside. So you are writing and then the response is coming and going on and on. So you continue with this. And this keeps on troubling you. So he says day and night. At night you cannot sleep and daytime you cannot function. And therefore people like to take revenge, blood for blood. And then they feel, I have achieved it. Because these words actually hit the pride. They hit the ego. And ego has the characteristic that it does not like to see itself second to anyone else. So if somebody has insulted me, means that person is better than me. And if I don't take revenge, means I get even. Actually they say I got even with him. Not even, I actually got better than him. That is the idea behind getting even. That now I showed who I am. So unless you show to the other person who you are, you don't feel satisfied. So even Lord Shiva, who is Atmarama, as we have read and we will read, he remembers all this. And he must be also losing his sleep over it. Otherwise, how he knows this? He has the first-hand experience of losing sleep. And he has no one to talk to. Sometimes you talk, you find another person and then you criticize so that you can let off your steam. Then you feel light in your head. You can go to sleep. But Lord Shiva is alone and he cannot talk this to Sati because he is the father of Sati. So whom to talk? So it's just boiling inside him. When you cannot speak to anybody, then it keeps on boiling you. And that's how people get sick in the mind. So then they have to visit psychotherapist. And what does psychotherapist do? You just listen. So half of the therapy is just listening. There is not much therapy going on there. And then the guy has no one to talk to and throw his garbage on somebody. So you go and you hire a person to listen to you. So you feel relieved. Then you come home and then again it works because it does not go away slowly. So you go again next week when it builds up and you throw it again. Come home. So Lord Shiva is also holding it for a long time. And he says that Duruktubhir Divanisam Tapyati Marma Tadita. Marma means marma point, no?
Vital point.
Vital points. So this is called marma. So there are certain vital points in human body. If you hit at them, then person can become unconscious or even die. How many are there according to Ayurveda?
107.
107 marma points are there in this body. So those points are very, what do you call,
Sensitive.
soft and vulnerable. So most vulnerable is, what is most vulnerable? Is ego. Heart is also one marma point. But most vulnerable is the ego, because ego gets hurt by word. It does not need arrows or something, some weapon. Just a word can hurt it. And it gets wounded so badly that it takes a long time to recover. You hit at marma point, okay, the guy may become unconscious. He'll come back to consciousness after some time. You hit at the ego, it's very difficult to forget because it goes very deep. So, and if the ego is hurt by your own relatives, that is worse. If some XYG is doing it, that's not so bad. But if your own brother, your own sister, your own wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, they do it, then it is quite intolerable. Then they become your enemy. That's how friends turn into foes. So it is all hitting at the ego. So tadrish bandhavaha shatrubhyo api adhika ityaya. He says such relatives which were described in the previous verse, they are worse than enemies. Why? Aribhi prayuktahi shili mukhair bani tatha ne vyatte athashete kadachit swapiti. He says if one is hurt by the arrows of enemies, then there is not so much pain because at least one can sleep or one can die. Die, finished, no more pain. But you have the arrows of the speech, you are not dead, you are alive and you suffer for the rest of your life. So it is worse. Duyata duimane ne itutrenen. Mai tatra gatayam neyam sanka iti chet tatra hai vyaktam nishyatam eva utkrishta gatariti viprit lakshanya prajapatir dakshasya atmajanam madhye tvam priya. Let's combine two verses. Combining two verses. So anyway, he says that one does not suffer so much from the arrows as from the words. And arrows are coming from the enemies, and this come from your own relatives. So this is even more painful, because your own people are saying it. So this way he is trying to dissuade her from not going to the sacrifice. And then we will read next. He is going to speak more on this. Yes.
Since Lord Shiva is Atmarama, and he's also performing his samadhi for almost close to 1,000 years, then if this thing is bothering him, how could he really perform samadhi? Could it be that these things already went into his chitta, he forgot it, and these incidents probably rejuvenated or brought it out again, the sanskaras, and then he recalled the whole thing?
Yeah, that's what he said, that Sansmarita. He said that you have reminded me this. And she was saying, yeah, I want to go there.
Yeah. So it was not like he was losing his sleep and all of those things. It was
Just explaining that.
Babaji, I have a question about, we have egos and sometimes we have problems with the others.
Sometimes you are
All the time. You feel like inside, for example, not with everybody, but for example, with some people you want to explode, you know, like,
Yes, I know.
and how do you, if you control that, you know, okay, just leave it like that, you know, but then I can feel that something is happening, you know, even if I want to control, if I see that people, again, start this thing, so is this a karma or is going to explode, or can I change that movement?
Yeah, it is karma, but you can change it.
Even if I see again and I feel that this is no, you know?
You can get over it.
How can I do that?
You go to your room and you punch a pillow.
But then when I see the people again, I feel that, you know?
So you punch the pillow a few times, and then you realize that why I'm doing it.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to actually use your own discrimination. That okay, I feel like this, but what is my gain? After all, I suffer myself. Right? When you feel like this, it's not a happy feeling.
Yeah, because I feel sometimes I can be a Durga, you know, sometimes I go, okay, let's turn again, you know. So I want to change that in myself.
Yes, so that that's why you have to learn how to control your mind. Not that you repress it, because repression is not going to work. But with your intelligence, you have to think that why am I doing it and what is my gain by this. So few times you punch,
Yeah.
and after that you think.
That's wonderful.
And when you start thinking like this, then slowly it will go away. Then you will be able to forgive. So actually these people are ignorant. And even if it is my karma, why shall I be controlled by my karma? I want to go over it.
I'm going to buy these sun pillows.
Yes.
So, why did Daksha not get over it after 1,000 years?
Daksha?
Yeah.
Because he was proud person. So when you are proud, you know what pride means?
Sure.
You know? So when you are proud, then you think that I am superior. And this person is useless. He doesn't know what is an etiquette. And he is this, he is that. So why should he get over it? He was convinced that he is right. Pride means that I am right and he is wrong.
That's the key, is thinking you're superior and right.
Yes. Pride obviously makes you think that you. Pride means you are superior. It's based on that idea that I am superior.
How much time was 1,000 years in their lifetime? Isn't there?
Must be 1,000 years.
I was thinking the same thing because it's earlier it was stated that Sati had no children because she was too young.
I also thought about it. because
And then
on
1,000
one
years
side-
passed and she's still too young, right?
Yes.
It means it
Maybe
felt like
100,000 years.
No, you didn't say that.
Because it is said that she had no kids. Why she did not have kids? Because she died when she was young.
1,001.
This means that they were not married for a very long period. Because right after this, she will burn herself. So sometimes 1,000 does not mean 1,000.
Prabhupada has a question.
This thing that Shiva was remembering, all these insults, shows that he was aware when the whole thing was happening,
Yes.
and that he has told it, and now after so long time he had the same feeling.
Yeah, the emotions are like that when they come up, depending on how deep is the emotion when you felt it, then when you remember, then it comes up with the same intensity.
But this also shows that Shiva has an ego.
Of course, he is the boss of ego. You talk about ego. He is the ego personified. It's just a wonder that he did not explode. He is the in charge of ahankar. Out of man, buddhi, chitta and ahankara, Rudra is the deity of ahankar. Worshipable deity is Sankarshan. He is the presiding deity.
I would like to go back to the example you gave of the Mataji who gained extraordinary powers through her service to her husband. Right? So, how did that service give her the powers? What was in her service that produced such powers in her that were more than the powers of a tapasvi?
Service, she was very devoted. It's like Krishna says that by devotion you can gain anything. It says that my devotee, whatever he wants, he can get simply by bhakti. So she was devoted to the husband, treating husband as representative of God. And by that she got this power. Probably she wanted it. It's not that everybody gets it.
Yeah.
As Krishna says, Yadi kathanchit vanchati. Not if my devotee wants, devotees don't want it. So therefore it also does not mean that everybody will get this power.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
asking.
just to show, these stories are there to show that how this is superior than doing austerity. The idea is that in Shastra the stories are there to bring one to bhakti ultimately. But people are attracted by austerities in the olden days. Now I don't think anybody will become attracted by it. Now people are attracted by opulence.
Yeah.
In the olden days in India, people were attracted by austerities. So thousands and thousands of people were taking sannyas. So then to show that just doing austerity, what is the meaning? How is it related? And it can make you very proud.
You said that Shiva has ego, but in the same time he's the greatest Vaishnava. So how these two things go together?
Vaishnavas don't have ego.
Wow.
They have the ego that I'm a Vaishnava.
So he's also conditioned.
No, this is not conditioning. Vaishnava has ego, I'm a devotee of Krishna, that's not ego.
Yeah, but
Dasa,
so he doesn't have false ego.
yes, he does not have false
So,
ego.
but how can he get angry if he has a false if he doesn't have a false ego?
In yesterday's class, you were there yesterday?
No, I wasn't there.
Yesterday it was already explained that there are two ways that you can get angry. Either you can get angry from material ego, or you can also get angry from spiritual ego. From spiritual ego you get angry if there is an obstacle to your service, if you are a devotee. Or in case of Krishna, if someone troubles his devotee, then he gets angry. In the material world you get angry when there is an obstacle to your sense enjoyment or your safety.
To false ego, yeah.
Yeah, material ego.
Yeah.
So in case of Lord Shiva is a very peculiar situation. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained that he is in charge of Tamoguna. And therefore sometimes he can be under the influence of that. Although he is an Atmaram, and then in that state he can get angry. But he does not become overpowered by it like an ordinary person. So that is possible. Because he has to destroy this world, so then he has to go into this mood of tamas.
Yes.
So this is also part of his service as in charge of tamas. Because he is a guna avatar, also being a Vaishnava is one thing, and he is in charge of one of the gunas.
Can you give an example of a devotee using anger because they're being disrupted in their service?
When Pandavas were fighting, they were getting angry. Or Hanuman was getting angry with the demons because they took away Sita.
In today's context?
Well, if you are doing service and somebody comes and disturbs you,
Yeah.
then you get angry.
Yeah, but at what level? I mean, if I'm writing or something and somebody comes to the door and wants to sell me some stupid thing, I don't get angry.
You don't get angry, but suppose somebody is always making noise outside your door unnecessarily and you are trying to chant, and you go and request, don't do it, and don't listen, then you also get angry and says,
Yeah, but as the Vaishnavas, if you ask them, they advise you just tolerate.
This tolerance.
tolerate.
Not this tolerance, let's say.
Tolerate is good, but you see, anger is also there in the sense, okay, suppose, maybe in this case you tolerate, but suppose you have your teacher and somebody is abusing the teacher,
No,
then you should not tolerate,
we don't tolerate that.
right? When you try to counter that person, you get also angry. Somebody, you have your cows and somebody hits the cows, then do you tolerate?
No.
So tolerance is not always tolerant.
You tolerate for yourself.
You can tolerate for yourself, but suppose somebody wants to kill you, then also you don't tolerate.
No.
Then you also have to protect yourself. So you have to see, tolerance is not just the absolute principle.
One last question I have is that I'm understanding is that pride and ego, they're related in the sense that when pride goes up, ego goes up, and like that correlation there, and then when it goes down, they both go down.
But there's ego in three places, sattva, rajas and tamas. So it is only the tamasic which goes up and down with pride, not the sattva. You can also have sattvic pride. Means I am a good devotee, therefore therefore I will not do anything nonsense like this. That is not harming anybody, but it is helping you to remain in your sadhana.
Right.
So pride is not always bad, just as ego is not always bad. Although mostly it is like that. But sattvic is nothing wrong with that.
Sometimes it's difficult to judge, how much action you will take if somebody is at your service. So there can be sometimes
Then you can ask.
out of the line.
Then you can take advice. Yeah, sometimes it's. See, these things are also subjective. After all, these stories are being described here for us to educate. Because such situations will come in our life. They may not come exactly like this, but maybe in a similar fashion. So they are for us to educate, because in the path of bhakti, it is different than yoga. In case of yoga, you isolate, you meditate. You don't have to deal with people. In case of bhakti, you have to deal with people, and you better prepare yourself. Because when you go to spiritual world, it will be quite populated there. So you have to get ready for that. It's not isolated place. Unless you want to be a Shanta Bhakta, sit in a corner. So it teaches us how we have to deal in the society and while being as a devotee, so that we don't commit offense or make a wrong move.
Say the wrong thing.
So then we have to make decisions in our life, and we have to judge a situation.